Hey guys, welcome back to Love and Confetti, our weekly podcast hosted by me, Danny, and my boyfriend.
Aryan.
On this podcast, we talk about relationship insights that we feel are helpful and that we think are worth sharing. Good to have you back. If you haven't yet, we'd appreciate it if you could subscribe to the show and comment or rate or share on whatever platform you're listening to. And thank you for taking some time out of your day to come and hang with us. We're gonna try our best to make this entertaining and helpful. Don't forget that you can change the speed of this episode, so you can listen to it like 1.5 to 2 times the speed. If you're on YouTube or on Spotify. Let's hop right into the episode. Today we're gonna be talking about
Dating during the
yeah.
pandemic,
So like
basically.
if you're single during the pandemic, this episode is for you.
To start things off, dating kind of sucks these days because of how bad the situation is around the world and how many people are in lockdown. But it does bring some benefits, I would say. Benefits that otherwise you wouldn't normally have
Like what?
if you were in a normal dating setting. Well, in my honest opinion, I think because of what's happened, because of the pandemic, it's given us a lot of time to kind of grow and
Mm-hmm.
self-growth,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We've all had that moment to have, reflect on our lives, to improve on certain things, skills that we may have,
Yeah, for sure.
even work out more,
Yeah.
improve our bodies. So that indirectly affects our dating life
Mm-hmm.
because it just makes us better people overall, more prepared to get into a relationship or something.
So I've been hearing from my friends that they're kind of bummed because there aren't any like opportunities to go out and meet people anymore. Therefore, there aren't like opportunities to date. Because other than, like meeting people via mutual friends, there's just like dating apps. So, like,
Yeah.
when everyone is kind of free to move around, people would meet other people in like clubs or I don't know, like just hang out,
Bars,
yeah,
yeah.
bars or like people would invite other people to hang and stuff. And now people are kind of just, stuck at home. So they're kind of just on their phones. So they really just meet people online.
Well, yeah, there are pros and cons to that. There are pros and cons to meeting people online. Like, pros is like you don't have to have stage fright.
Hmm.
Usually when you meet someone, you kind of get scared or shy in the
Yeah, that's
beginning,
true.
right? So there's not many things you can say. While online, you can kind of be yourself, kind of open up. But at the same time, you don't know your chemistry with the other
Yeah.
person until you actually meet them in person, right?
Yeah, I feel like people
Yeah.
can be more flirty. I mean, even like liking and commenting on posts or like tagging each other in like memes and stuff, that's kind of flirty. And you
Yeah,
can be like
you can do
playful
that
in
online.
ways, yeah, you can be playful in ways that you can't really if you were just with a person like physically because you'd be
Yeah.
kind of shy.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're just starting.
Yeah. Anyway, that said, I feel like while we're all stuck at home and, well, like for the single people, I feel like you should approach this in the mindset where, like, this pandemic isn't gonna last forever. It's gonna end at one point. And I feel like you should take this time to, I guess, like, prepare yourself. Because, like,
Hmm.
for example, let's say someone told you that you were on going on vacation, like, in next month, and you would have, like, a million things on your mind on, like, what to do or what to pack or just things to get yourself prepared for that vacation. So I
Yeah.
guess like think of it like you preparing yourself to get back into this dating field. Okay.
Yeah. Like the big vacation.
Yeah. I mean, like don't
Don't treat this like it's permanent.
yeah, at the same time like enjoy the time that you have and enjoy the activities that you're doing, like during this time just so you're not super bummed out. And at the same time, even if you do want to get into dating and you do want to prepare yourself, like don't see everything that you're going to be doing as like this stepping stone to the end game
Yeah.
of dating. I mean, like don't just work out so that you can date. Not everything is about dating. Dating kind of
Yeah.
just happens. Just take this time to yourself and afterwards you date.
Yeah, exactly. Focus on yourself. Self-love before you can even be with anyone. I
Yeah.
mean, that's number one rule. You can't just start dating people if you're not loving yourself, taking care of yourself, taking yourself out on dates.
Yeah.
So, priority number one is yourself. And then that in turn will translate into you becoming a better person for a relationship.
Mhm.
So, again, like if you work out, if you're doing all these things, don't do it for the goal of dating. Do it for yourself. Try to be a better you, a better version of yourself. That's the most important thing. Now, I think for mindsets, yeah, many people are bummed out. Many people are sad. They miss going out. They miss meeting other people. It's very different, that dynamic. But I feel like it's not so bad using dating apps. So
Hmm.
dating apps are a big thing. And,
Yeah, we met
there's
on a
Tinder,
dating app.
there's Bumble. Yeah, we met on Tinder. So that was pretty okay. And honestly, like, it kind of extends your reach because you'd meet people you otherwise wouldn't meet
Yeah.
if you weren't on that dating app.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it kind of builds something. Like, you kind of build a foundation of good conversation. You build a foundation of, like, getting to know each other, kind of getting friendly with each other,
Hmm.
which, if you're just dating in person and it's very physical, sometimes you don't focus on the conversation. You don't
Hmm.
focus on getting to know the person, truly getting to know that person.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like it's somehow this is good because you are getting to know them better, getting to know the person you're potentially going to date better. The thing is, online dating can be a bit distracting because you're not talking to one person. Let's face it, you're probably
Yeah.
talking to 10 different people at a time, right? So you only know for sure until you actually meet the person. But I still think it's good for building foundation, which, you don't have that in physical dating.
What do you think of quarantine flings?
Well, if you really want to take the risk of catching, the
No, no, no,
virus,
no.
then
No, not like meeting in person and like hooking up. Just, you know how like people treat whoever they're quote unquote dating during quarantine as kind of like a fling, kind of like something temporary since they can't go out and legit date. Then whoever they're talking to online is kind of like a fling.
so you're saying that these flings are people that when the pandemic's over, they're not going to entertain?
Yeah, like siguro, like it's a fling because like they're bored. And okay, I don't have anyone I'm talking to yet. I can't really meet anyone. So then okay, I'll just talk to you.
Me personally, I think it's probably a waste of time.
Hmm.
You could be focusing on something else.
Yeah, that's true.
You could be talking to somebody that you actually want to meet instead of treating this person as somebody, you don't have that intention with. It's
Yeah, but
just all fun and games, right?
yeah, but not
I don't know. For
everyone.
me, yeah, not everyone's ready to
No, no,
date.
no. Not all the flings are kind of like wala lang.
Okay.
Just kind of, I'm bored. I just want to
It's
talk to
casual.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, you can have fun in games, but in the end of the day, is it beneficial to you? Are you improving as a person when you could be doing things that are just better for yourself overall?
I
If
guess.
it's good for your mental health to be talking to people, then by all means, like, go for it. But I think that if you could be doing something more productive with your time and just, if you want to date, I I would recommend just taking it a bit more seriously, not
Mhm.
too much of flings, right? Yeah. That's just my opinion though. I don't know. What about you?
I agree. I feel like I mean, but like that's always been me. Like I don't want to waste my time. But I mean, if you legit see the person you're talking to as, like they have potential, then by all means, like go for it. Yeah, but don't approach it in a way that like this is temporary. Otherwise, you kind of like don't really like respect the person.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any friends who are like who have quarantine flings? Or did all like the people that they talk to like did they turn into something serious?
Okay, so I had a friend. She went on like a whole quarantine craze. She went on Bumble and I think she was fresh off of a breakup and then she kind of just met up with a lot of guys. Like she actually
During
spoke to
quarantine?
multiple guys. Yeah, and then she actually met up with them. So I think the lockdown wasn't so strict at the time.
Uh-huh.
And then she managed to like get out a bit. So
In the Philippines?
yeah, she in the Philippines, yes. So she managed to meet people and I think she even hooked up with a couple.
Oh.
Yeah. And then
Lol.
eventually she met one guy through, this whole quarantine thing and now they've been together for I think 7 months,
Huh?
6 to 7 months, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, yeah, that's why. So, she kind of had her trial and error phase with
Yeah.
multiple guys, and then she finally found the one that she's happy with. So, right now, she's in a really happy relationship. And this all happened during quarantine. So,
Mhm.
it's actually incredible how much she progressed in
Yeah.
quarantine. It did help that they were able to meet, though.
Yeah.
But I think it also helped that she managed to, get to know them, get to talk to them a lot. So,
Mhm.
that was fun for her.
Yeah. It's so weird because like if you really think of it, we've been in quarantine for almost a year straight.
Hasn't been a year yet?
I
Not yet,
mean,
right?
like in the Philippines, we started in March.
In Europe, I think we were starting April. No, sorry,
Yeah.
no, March as well. March
Yeah,
as
so
well.
like almost a year.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
Oh gosh. But don't worry guys, the vaccine's already out there and like people are being administered, so hopefully, the whole world will be cured and this will be just a common cold kind of issue, right?
Okay, my friends have had quarantine flings or are having quarantine flings, but the thing is, like, I don't think they're handling it well because I feel like they're the type of people who would get attached easy. So then everyone they're talking to, they kind of put a lot of hope into them, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's kind of like the
yeah.
opposite. And I feel like, okay, so I feel like I'm speaking for a lot of people when I say that a lot of them become complicated because the other person shows like a lot of mixed signals.
Yeah, yeah, that's the problem. Like it's kind of hard to tell someone's intentions and someone's words because you're just reading. Usually, you're just reading texts, right? And the occasional phone call. Although I don't think people just jump to that stage right
Yeah.
away. It's usually just texting and messaging each other.
Hmm.
So there can be a lot of misreading and misinterpretations from both parties. But I think your friends, honestly, I think your friends, they just need to go out there more, like try to experiment more with the dating apps and stuff. Because are they actually using dating apps?
I think they are either that or they kind of like maybe like flirted on Instagram, message on Facebook kind of thing.
Okay,
So
but nothing like serious, like I want to date you, you want to date me, because you're on a dating app.
no, I mean, like, they probably want to date the person if the person, like, made it clear that, hey, I want to date too. So that's why
Yeah,
they're
see,
kind
that's
of,
the
like,
thing.
bummed.
They're
Or
probably
they're
on the wrong
confused.
platform. That's the thing. If they're using Instagram, Facebook, it's probably the wrong platform. So
Maybe.
honestly, like girls, like guys, girls, if you want to date, go to where the dating happens, where
Yeah,
the
but
matchmaking
it's not
happens, right?
like we have a lot of good options here, too.
Well, you never know. I think the only way to find out is to actually try.
Yeah, okay. But for me, okay, my take on this is in the first place, I mean, if you do want a quarantine fling, like, you kind of have to, like, know yourself. Like, can you handle a fling? Do you
Hmm.
legit want a fling? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like me knowing myself, I can't handle a fling because number one, I don't have the energy to talk to people I don't like. And
Yeah.
I can't converse if I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
I feel like you kind of have to know the difference also between, I don't know, like, are you ready for a relationship or do you just like the attention, you know?
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to do this for the wrong reasons. So I know
Yeah.
many people, they just feel lonely. They want to feel, maybe they feel a bit insecure, so they want to feel people are minding them, giving them the attention they need. Honestly, that's the wrong way, the wrong approach to dating. You don't date for attention. You date because you want to find a partner or you want to find somebody that you spend a good time with, even
Hmm.
if it's just for fun. At the very least, it's fun together with somebody else. It's
Yeah.
not fun because you fulfill something that I cannot fulfill myself,
And a lot of
right?
times, like, people settle because they'd rather have attention than nothing in their lives. So they'll settle for, I don't know, like, just superficial conversations, like, what did you do today? Those kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
don't settle, guys.
Yeah.
Find the perfect match for you. Don't
Yeah.
just say, "Okay, I'm done." You're right. I'm dating already. I'm done with the first person I met. No, doesn't work that way.
Honestly, if they're not investing in you, like, don't invest in them, right? I mean, like, there's a difference between attention and, like, if people are invested.
Yeah, that's true. I've had experience with that where people they just want attention. They don't really invest themselves in you either.
Hmm.
So, I've actually dated girls like that before and it's not a nice feeling. You feel like you're putting in all the effort but somebody else is not.
Okay, so for all the listeners, what is your take or what is your advice for people who show mixed signals? No, for people who are talking to others who show mixed signals.
So basically, let's say hypothetically, you're talking to a guy, and that guy is, you know for sure that guy's talking to other girls, and he's not very direct with you. Well, basically, in my opinion, just be direct. You have nothing to lose. You probably never even met the guy. So just say it up front. Hey, what's your deal? What do you want from this, right? And if he tells you honestly, then good. But don't mince words, don't beat around the bush. Just get straight to the point because you're just going to feel worse if you don't know the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts, but it's better than, living in a lie.
What about for things that are like if things are moving too slow? Because, okay, like, I have a friend who has been, I guess, dating exclusively, casually. I don't know. They've been dating for maybe 8 months minimum. And
Okay.
they still haven't, like, what's the term? Like, DTR'd, like, defined the relationship. So they're kind of like, yeah, we're dating. But there's no, like, an
Nothing
official,
official.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to say to people who are feeling impatient?
Well, it depends on the partner. I mean, if your partner is saying, I need more time or I need more space, then I guess, honestly, it's if your values align.
Mm-hmm.
So if one person says, I need more time to think about it, to reflect on it until we're actually official, and the other person's like, no, I want to be official now, then sorry, but you guys are incompatible. Like, it just doesn't work. If he wants to wait, even if you don't want to wait, and you're like, okay, but I'll wait for you because I don't mind, then that's good. Because
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it's all about respecting each other's wishes. You don't
Yeah.
force people into relationship. You know, relationships require consent.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to consent to certain things, which includes becoming official.
Yeah.
You cannot force somebody to do something they don't want to do. Like, I have a friend, and she's almost in her 30s, and she was dating a guy for a very long time, and this guy, just didn't want to have kids, didn't want to have a family, or didn't even want to get married.
Mm-hmm.
Like, marriage was just out of the books for her. For him, sorry. And for her, like, she's at that age where she wants to get married, she wants to have kids. So it was just a complete clash in values and ideas. And she kept trying to push that relationship for as long as she could. She kept squeezing every bit of energy from the guy, and he got frustrated, she got frustrated, and in the end, they just broke up. So it was just a waste of time. If you think about it, they spent so much time with each other, but it was just all for nothing in the
Yeah.
end because they didn't build that core foundation in the beginning. They didn't build those values. They didn't try to align their values together.
What about if for people who are feeling impatient because like all we do is talk? You haven't even said that you like me.
Well, did the girl say she liked the guy?
I don't know. Hypothetically, no. I'm just thinking of
Okay,
like
so
general situations.
so honestly, if you're impatient for the guy to make the first move, just make the first move yourself. Honestly, just stop waiting. Stop waiting. Just make the first move. There's no shame in making the first move and just saying, I like you. Okay? If you don't like me, then we can end this charade. If you like me, then let's take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Boom. Just like that. Easy. So if you're impatient, just get straight to the point. Just get direct to the point and just say, I like you. I want to take this to the next level. I think we'd be a great couple, blah, blah, blah. But if you're waiting for him to respond or him to make the first move, and I know guys, sometimes they take long, sometimes guys are too fast, but if he's not taking fast enough, then I suggest you just do the first move.
Yeah, I agree. I say be upfront about what you want, but if you don't want to like seem aggressive, you don't want to scare the guy away, just be like playful about it. Yeah, just be like playful but honest, kind of like, hey, so are we gonna do this or what?
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, if you feel like it's not going anywhere and you don't feel like they're invested too much, like just cut them loose, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You can tell if somebody's serious for you or not. And like I said, I had a friend who went through a whole lot of charades during her quarantine. And, in the end, I told her from the very beginning that this person was not invested in her in the same way she was invested in him. She didn't listen to me. She didn't take my advice. And in the end, they broke up. Now she's probably upset about it. She's furious at him. She hates his guts. It could have ended in a more, I'd say, happy note.
Yeah.
But it ended in the worst note possible
Yeah,
because
that's sad.
because she just didn't take my advice. But yeah, just look at the signs, read the signs. If the guy's not that into you, it'll show. He probably won't be as responsive in his messaging, and you'd probably wonder maybe he's talking to somebody else, right? So just be direct with people. If you're direct, it's the best way to go. And I'm a big advocate of being direct with people. And I know Danny is too, because she's kind of changed her ways as well ever since we started dating.
Yeah.
Because I was very direct with her. And as a result, she was very direct with me as well.
Yeah.
So, it kind of we just bounced off each other that way. And it really just cuts a lot of, I'm just going to say it, it cuts a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
You just cut through all the bullshit, all the games, and you just go straight to the point. And in the end, it's wonderful because you got there at a very correct pace. Like if you were just dating and okay, he's holding my hand, I don't know, oh, he's talking to another girl, wait, does he like me or not? I'm so confused. Honestly, if you were just direct from the get-go, then maybe you wouldn't be that confused.
But at the same time, like, don't show that you're desperate.
No, you can be direct without being desperate.
Yeah, I know.
There are ways to do it.
Yeah, but sometimes if you're too direct,
Don't beg.
yeah,
Okay.
like don't
But you
seem
can
like
just
you
say,
need it.
yes, exactly. But you can just say straight up, what are we? Where are we in this? Are we dating? Are we not? I just want to know. There's instead of saying please date me, you're saying are we dating? There's a difference in your delivery.
Yeah, kind of like, don't be wasting my time if you're not serious. So it's kind of like from a position of power where, like, hey, you're chasing me, okay? And honestly, if like they don't want you, then they're not the one. Because sometimes
Yeah, don't
we,
waste time and don't feel heartbroken. That's the worst part. If you're gonna feel heartbroken over a guy who isn't worth it, then you got bigger things to worry about. This is not something you should be feeling bad about. In fact, if he was not invested in you and you feel hurt, just remember you probably dodged a bullet there.
yeah,
If you guys actually got together and he just did something wrong in the end and maybe left you for somebody else, you'd feel worse. So it's better to be direct from the get-go and just be upfront so that you know where you stand in relationships and in dating.
yeah. And honestly, if you're always just gonna be there, then they're probably always just gonna be there, but just because you're still available, like just because it's convenient, of course they're gonna hang around because you're there.
Yeah. So don't also make yourself too available, right?
Like, don't make yourself like a doormat.
Exactly.
Let's move on. Let's talk about like some mistakes, I guess, for when you're kind of starting out, like online in the online dating world, since everything's online now. Common mistakes. I'll give one. One would be like playing games on when to text back.
Yeah, I know.
Because sometimes, like, a lot of people do this because they don't want to seem like they're too desperate, I would say, or they don't want to seem like they want it too much. But I feel like if you take too long, I feel like the momentum kind of just dies.
That's true. You kind of have to keep a steady pace. But at the same time, in my opinion, one big mistake is over texting. If you're like overbearing and you're like nonstop, like messaging each other to the point where you don't give each other room to breathe, to do other things, then it can be also a big turnoff for certain people because it's like, give me a chance to do my own thing, right?
Yeah.
Give me a break, right? So there's two sides of that coin. Like, don't play games in how long you'll text, but also don't over text. Kind of just keep it steady. Have time for yourself is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So let's say you're texting somebody, you're like, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go watch a movie. Okay? That's totally okay. You don't have to be there texting while watching the movie. You can be watching your movie and, maybe sporadically texting somebody.
Mhm. Also, if you're just texting, I mean, there are other, like sometimes if you just text, it gets boring,
Yeah.
right? Like sometimes you just text and there's no phone calls or there's no photos, purely texting.
That's what Danny and I do a lot. We just say, we just message each other and we're like, face? So we just send each other selfies. And, it's kind of nice because it's like we're involving each other in our days, what we're doing throughout the day, even if it's just drinking a cup of coffee, you're just there with your coffee, right? So it's fun. And then we video call a lot. In fact, I think we call more than we text. But that's because we've been together for how long? Like 2 years now. But if you're starting out, I implore you to try to get your partner to, maybe video call a bit if you can. Send some selfies, send some things about your day, right? Involve them. Involve them with your life. Because if it's just messages on a screen, it's very impersonal.
Okay, I'm gonna jump off of that. I think another mistake is when it's hard for you to open up, when you take too long to open up. Because, like, sometimes you kind of just, like, scenario, if someone asks you how your day was, you kind of just give them, like, a summary, but there's no, like, personal involvement. So, for example, someone will say, what are you doing? And then I'll be like, oh, I cooked dinner. But it doesn't really tell me anything about you. Because you could say, like, oh, I cooked dinner for my family. It was my first time to cook in a while. Sometimes you're too scared to like seem vulnerable. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Like, people are scared. People are scared to open up because they feel like, if they open up, they invest too much in that person.
Yeah.
Honestly, guys, like, if you're an open person, it says more about you than what you're doing with the other person. It's like you being an open person is being an honest person. And you can be that with anyone. And that's a good thing to actually mentalize. Like, stop being a shut book. Be an open book. So even random strangers that you meet, they'll know who you are for who you really are. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Don't be ashamed to show who you really are.
I'm gonna give an example. So my best friend was talking to this guy and she's had like shitty days. But the thing is, she didn't really show that she had bad days. And I kept telling her, you can't just say that, hey, I'm having a bad day. Because they were already kind of close. Let's say I'm having problems with my siblings or something. The thing is, like, even if she would say that she had a bad day, if the guy would ask what happened, she would never like really open up. So what I'm trying to say is you don't have to like give your complete life story, you know, but you can kind of give, I guess, a context. If you don't want to like tell your childhood trauma, you can just say like, I'm having family problems or something. I mean, if you are at that level of communication where you're both kind of honest but not too honest, because it's better than like nothing, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And in fact, you're very open, babe. Like
Yeah, I know.
you tell me all about your day, every little detail, to the point where I'm like, okay, are you done? Are you but yeah, see, so that's a bonding time. Like
Yeah.
you build a bond with somebody when you open up more. So I agree. I think if you're just a shut book in dating, I think that's a big mistake.
Okay,
I
next.
have one. Okay, so I think one of the biggest mistakes you can have is having certain expectations from a relationship and being disappointed if that person doesn't meet those expectations. And sometimes these can be really bad, like really bad expectations. Like you expect the guy to start combing his hair more, expect him to cut his hair. You know, like there are certain things you can't change about somebody. And if you're trying to change someone, you don't really love them for who they are. You love them for what you want them to be. And if you set those expectations, it's not good. It's like that's more on you. You don't value the person that you're talking to or you're trying to be in a relationship with, right? You expect them to work out more. You expect them to go on a diet. You expect them to send you messages every day saying that they love you every day. You know, these are things that certain people are not naturally good at, or certain things they can't really change about themselves. There's such a thing as improvement. People can self-improve. If you want your guy to improve in certain ways of dealing in a relationship, then that's okay. But if you have these expectations and you expect him or her to perform and they don't meet that, then that is a very selfish thing,
Yeah.
in my opinion, to think about. So that is a big mistake. Again, quoting my same friend, this is one of her biggest problems because everybody she tries to date, she always has these big expectations. And the worst is that she gives so much expecting all that in return. So she is giving with that condition.
So it's conditional.
Exactly. It's like, okay, I'm giving, I really love you, but then why aren't you doing the same for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you love someone, there's a difference between love and desire. When you love someone, you don't care about what that person gives you. You just want to give that person.
Agree.
But desire is you want to take from that person. You know, you need that person. You want to take what they can give you. So there's a big difference. So if you're just feeling lustful or if you're feeling like you want to have a fling, then, you know, I'm not going to tell you how to go about that. But if you want to be with someone and take that relationship seriously, I recommend being as giving as possible without expecting anything in return.
Yeah, dude, just be generous. Like, just give for the sake of it. I mean, like, give.
Because you want to.
Yeah. Like just give for you. Okay, I have an example. So my friend gave something to the person she was dating, and in a way, she said that she wasn't expecting anything back. But even if she wasn't like expecting something material, or the way I saw it, she was expecting a reaction. You know, like I'm giving this to you in hopes that you see that I care, so that you make a move, something. And I was telling her that, dude, just give it. You know, like honestly, giving is for the giver. Like it's
Yeah.
for the feeling that you have when you're giving. But once that gift like parts from you, that's where it ends.
Exactly. I agree.
So there are times where we give, and when we don't get what we expected, we kind of like shut ourselves down and say like, okay, we're never gonna do that again. That was embarrassing. That was a mistake. I never should have done that.
I think, like, my advice for your friend is if she's gonna give, don't expect in return. Because honestly, it's the gesture of giving that should matter. Sometimes it's like lifting off a weight in your chest. A perfect example is Valentine's Day. Many people in Valentine's Day, they give chocolates or they give cards or they give flowers to somebody that they like. It's a common thing. Now, do you truly expect that person to just say, okay, I'm gonna date the first person that gave me chocolates? No. Some girls, they receive multiple flowers and multiple chocolates from various suitors, right? And some guys too receive a lot of gifts from girls as well, although I think it's more like guys to girls. Anyway, you don't expect that person to date you. You don't even expect that person to say thank you. Because in the end of the day, you're doing it because you like that person. It's a simple gesture of, I like you, this is for you. So treat it like Valentine's Day. You know, if you like somebody, you give somebody that thing and you don't expect anything in return. Recently, it was Christmas and I gave Danny a gift that I was working on for like a couple of days. And my approach wasn't like, okay, I want her to react this way. My approach was more like, crap, I hope she likes it. That was it. That was my only approach. So see, so it wasn't like I expected her to react a certain way and love it a certain way. In fact, honestly, the beauty of me giving that gift was she completely exceeded my expectations. Her reaction was like, whoa. And I was like, huh? She loves it that much? She likes it that much? So I was so happy. I was really so happy in the end because I really didn't expect that reaction. And you know, in the end, it felt more genuine. Everything was like genuine and I felt more fulfilled with the gift I gave. So do not give things expecting something in return. In fact, just don't expect things. Just give. And things will flow naturally. If somebody loves you and they see all the effort that you put in and they truly, truly, truly care about you, then they're probably going to think, okay, I'm going to put in that same amount of effort. But if it's not natural to them and you expect them to do the same, then it's not going to work out. I'm sorry. You have to lower your expectations to like the bare minimum.
Okay. What about lowering standards?
That I don't agree.
No, but like based on personal experience, like for me, I was very, I would say like picky. And all my friends would joke like, no, it's because you have super high standards. To me, my standards weren't high. Looking back, they were kind of superficial. I already told you my list. So before, like for example, I wanted someone from only either Ateneo, UP, or LaSalle. I only wanted someone who was either going to be a business person, a lawyer, or in medicine. And I had all these like should be, should be, should be. And Aryan, my boyfriend, he's not from any of those schools.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, he's not from any of the like professions that I chose. But like looking back, those were like super superficial and I wouldn't take any of the things on my past list to like my list now. Anyway, those were just like my standards from before. And no, just I was just like thinking of that since we're on the topic of like lowering standards and
I set the bar very high.
yeah. Yeah, like now, right now, my standards are more on like values. And I mean, preferably if you were like in the creative scene, like that's a huge plus.
Yeah, like I think if you wanna like keep your standards high, quote unquote high, don't have standards like Danny had because that's not what you should be focusing on. You know, like you're focusing on superficial things. How tall are they? How do they look? You know, blah 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 blah. In my opinion, focus on core values.
Yeah.
Do your values align and do your interests align? Those are the two most important things to focus on. Everything else is secondary, even the way they look. Even their body shape. It's secondary. The most important is, are their values aligned with mine? And do we have the same or similar interests in things that we can do things together? Because one of the most important things to do with a partner is activities. And if you don't do activities together, then you're kind of just doing your own thing and you're never involved, you're never having fun together.
Yeah, or like in general, that person is who you're going to be talking to, let's say like for the rest of your life. So if you can't agree on certain things, or most things actually, then you are bound for trouble. Like every talk's going to be a fight, or you're just not going to be interested.
Exactly. Like, for example, let's say you love to travel, but the other person doesn't really enjoy traveling. Then you're going to have a big clash of interest there. Or let's say during your travels, one person likes to see all the sights and another person just wants to sit down and have a coffee. Then you're not going to enjoy your time together. You're going to kind of just clash. There are many examples of couples clashing because their interests don't align. You know, maybe their values kind of align, but their interests don't align. Then that can be a real big problem. So Danny and I were blessed in that sense that our values align and our interests align.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe there's certain things that we don't get and we don't know. Like for example, when it comes to social media, Danny is a complete expert in that creative field and I'm not really like into that, but I'm very much involved and I really try to help. So even if you're not interested in those things, you can see your partner helping you with those things. You know, you can still see that there's a big effort there. Or for example, like I have certain hobbies. Like I love to play video games. It's one of my pastimes. Danny doesn't like to do that at all. But she doesn't stop me from doing that. And sometimes she even watches me. You know, she's kind of just there. Or maybe she'll be reading her book, but she's there. You know, there's that level of Like, you're okay to do this. I'm not gonna stop you from doing what you like as well.
Yeah. So I feel like just to summarize it, you have to be like self-aware of like what is really important to you, like things that you cannot live without, like non-negotiables. I mean, like if you don't show me this, then I'm out.
Yeah, and please, like, it doesn't have to involve which school they went to.
Okay, in my defense, it wasn't about the school. It was more of like the upbringing, the mentality.
Yeah, but you weren't thinking about that too
No, I
much, were
was.
you?
I was.
Yeah?
For real,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of have the mentality you wanted, so
Yeah.
in that sense, you didn't lower your standards,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I'm
Also,
not a lawyer or a doctor.
that's okay. I'm so done with that. Also, while we're on the topic, you kind of have to be like brutally honest with yourself. Like maybe you're just judgmental. Or maybe you're just kind of nitpicky, you know?
Yeah.
Like maybe he spells or says something wrong, pronounces something wrong. And like that's, I guess, like a pet peeve of yours or something. Or let's say he doesn't have a good fashion sense. You know, like sometimes people focus too much on the little things, like things that are completely, let's say, instead of typing the full word, they just typed in shortcut. Like instead of typing you as YOU, people just said like the letter U or something. And let's say you were like this grammar Nazi kind of person. But like that doesn't have anything to do with like, is he a good person or.
Who the person is.
I mean, sometimes it's not the act itself that kind of disturbs you. It's kind of like what that means. My point is, I have to be completely honest with myself, brutally honest, and be like, am I actually disturbed that you type with the letter U? Or maybe I'm disturbed because I feel like you're too much of a casual person. Or because I feel like you can't articulate what you're trying to say well. Is it the action itself, like the act itself, that makes you like uncomfortable? Or is it because it's reflective of something deeper? Get what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think there are a lot of pet peeves out there that people are like, oh, it's non-negotiable. Like, I know people who can't date others because if they eat with their mouth open, it's a big pet peeve and it's like over for them. The thing is, there's certain things that can be trained and improved upon. Like, I remember I told you, you can't just change people. And if you're super nitpicky about things and you want to change everything about them, then that's not good anymore. But if there's certain things that can be changed and improved, like for example, you can casually just tell me, can you just type with a U or something? Like a YOU, not just the letter U. Then I imagine some people can improve that because, there are things you can improve in life, right? You can learn not to chew with your mouth open. I mean, it's a good thing to learn, and anyone should be learning that, right? But in the end of the day, if you're hyper focused on these little things and you're not focused on the bigger picture, is this person a good person? Is he kind? Is he generous? Is he caring? The little things are not important. They're insignificant in the end. So I think the best way to describe this is you have a very high standard, and if they have those things that you really can't stand, the nitpicky things, stop looking at those things and look at the overall picture and try to really look at that person and say, okay, is this person actually a really good person for me? Because you could be wasting a good opportunity to be with someone great only because they do something you don't like. And I think that's just incorrect because there are many wonderful people out there who have flaws. Everybody has flaws. Nobody is perfect. In fact, you, the nitpicky person, could have flaws as well that maybe your partner also notices. But the difference is you're being nitpicky about things and you're focusing on the wrong, while that person, even though looks at your flaws, is probably ignoring them or accepting them, which is even better. So I think just stop focusing on somebody's flaws and focus on somebody's strengths. And remember, flaws, some are huge, some can't be worked on, some can be worked on. And I think that if you really focus and try to bring that person up, then eventually those flaws will become positive traits. They won't become flaws anymore. Or you will learn to accept the flaws because they are acceptable for who that person is. That person overall is such a great person that even if they have that tiny little flaw, you're okay with that because you know that you have somebody good.
Yeah. Like one thing is having standards and another thing is just being nitpicky.
Yeah.
Like you have to ask yourself, like, are you actually being fair with,
Exactly.
the things that bother you? Because, okay, what I was trying to say earlier, I did a very bad job in explaining it, is maybe it's not that thing itself that bothers you. What bothers you is something that has a deeper meaning that you have to know just so you can, like, reorient yourself.
Exactly. Maybe it's not them. Maybe it's you.
Yeah.
You are the issue. You are the one being too nitpicky. You have this problem. And why do you have this problem with all people who have that certain trait?
No.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, but no. Like, for example, let's say, just off the top of my head, you watched cartoons. And me being nitpicky, I'm like, I don't like that you watch cartoons. But is cartoons really what bothers me? Or is it like because I'm worried that you may be immature? Get what I mean? So it's not the
Exactly.
cartoons. It's the fear of like maybe you're immature. But
Yeah.
if I actually like get to know you and realize that, oh, you are a mature person, then the cartoons won't bother me as much. That was what I was trying to say. I had such a hard time saying that. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about things that people can do right now. What can we do like right now since we're all stuck at home in relation to getting prepared to date or in relation to like dating right now?
Well, for starters, you can listen to this podcast.
Yeah. You know what? Like, I don't know why. I mean, I'm not the only friend that they talk to, I'm sure, but a lot of my friends come to me for like relationship tips. And literally a lot of things that I tell them, I say on this podcast. So kind of like I advise them and then I tell them, you know what? We can talk for like 2 hours or you can listen to like 45 minutes of this podcast or like 30 minutes if you listen to it faster. And they never do. And I'm kind of like, dude, literally like this topic, I said it so well in this podcast. Like, why can't you just listen to my podcast?
Yeah, so it helps to listen to podcasts, ours or anyone else who happens to have like, podcasts related to relationship
Or
problems.
books or YouTube videos.
Even honestly, like you can read a nice novel, some stories that inspire you, or watch some nice movies that inspire you. I think these are things that can help you prepare yourself for that world of dating. And other things, I don't know. People have been stuck from quarantine for so long. You could learn how to cook. I think cooking is a great skill. Explore a new hobby. Make yourself more interesting, so that when you finally meet that person, you have a lot to say, and that person will be truly invested in you
Yeah.
because they're like, wow, this person I'm talking to is a catch.
Yeah, and just so you always have something better to do than like wait around for a text.
Exactly. That's another thing.
Because maybe like one of the reasons why you're like super anxious is because you don't have a lot of things that are going on for you right now.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up my friend as an example again. She doesn't listen to our podcast. I don't think she's gonna mind. But I criticize her a lot because I keep telling her, she's already nearing her 30s and her dating life has been kind of a mixed bag. And she hasn't had luck recently because the guys she's been meeting have been total, I would say, douchebags. And she's a nice person. She's a really nice person, but I feel like her focus right now is completely wrong because she's at that age where she really wants to get married and she really wants to have kids. But her way of attaining that is completely wrong. It's like, first of all, when she's not, with somebody, when she's single, she's always looking for the next guy. Literally always looking for the next guy. And then on her free time, yeah, she does some cooking, she does some baking, but then she doesn't really share that. She doesn't really show that to people. Instead, on her Instagram profile, it's completely, like, it's all suggestive photos of her, with suggestive taglines. It's like she's really trying to catch people's eyes. And she's a beautiful girl. I'm not gonna lie, but you are doing this the wrong way. You're trying to get people the wrong way.
Yeah. Okay, babe.
Yeah.
One, they're not taglines, they're captions.
Oh.
And two, I agree. Like,
Yeah.
dude, just explore your interests. Like, do stuff that make you happy. Number one, you
Exactly.
become like a better, more fun person to talk to. Number two, you become more interesting as a person. And number three, like you just become happier overall.
And you become more independent.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing. That's really a huge thing, guys, is that when you start to look for people because you depend on those people, you depend on their attention, you depend on whatever it is, it's wrong. You need to be with somebody because it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's not because you need it. You need to choose to be with someone because you're happier with that person, not necessarily because you need that person.
Yeah.
Because you are a strong, independent woman or man, and you can live on your own without anybody. But you choose to be with someone, and that's the
Yeah.
most important thing. It's that choice. When you are in a position of power and you have the power to choose, I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Next, I would say, just jumping off what you said, just say no to people faster. The wrong people. Say no to the wrong people
Yes.
faster. Just like cut them
Don't
off.
prolong things.
Yeah. Honestly, like every day, every week that you spend on the wrong people is like a week that's taken for your life that, okay, sure, maybe you learn things from them, but if they don't like contribute to your life overall, that's a week of your life wasted. And a week of
Yeah.
your life that you're not like spending with the right person.
Yeah. I think like, that's a blurred line because you don't know all the time if
That's true.
somebody's the wrong person for you. But if there are red flags, obvious red flags, and you're still insisting because you're lonely or again, you're being dependent, then you have to cut it off as soon as possible.
Like sometimes you super overlook all the flaws just so you have like a reason for them to stick around. But honestly, like that's just gonna bite you in the ass after a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next, I would say more self love. Like, focus on your mental health, like your mental well being. Are you in a good place so that, like, when you are ready to date, you're not carrying as much baggage?
That's true. You don't want to bring all these problems into a relationship. It's going to start off really bad.
Yeah. So, like, just try to sort your own issues so that you're not, like, dependent on the other person to, like, bring magic into your life or something.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Next I would say like exercise or just like get in shape.
Yeah, but remember, for yourself, guys. This is for yourself. And eat a healthy diet. I think I cannot stress this enough, but people during quarantine have been eating really bad because either they're not learning how to cook properly or they're they're getting takeout, or even worse, they're just buying junk food. And I think like diet is very important overall, not just for your body, but for your mind too, because, it affects your body positivity. It makes you feel better about yourself. So a proper diet is really important.
I'm feeling so attacked.
No, babe, no.
I had 2 milk teas this week.
Oh no. Anyway, I'm victim to that too, but I'm not really I don't really have issues with body positivity, and I cook every day, like every single day. I'm always cooking, so I'm very much in control of what I eat. But I'm not gonna lie, like I do enjoy my little snacks here and there, but as much as possible, I try to keep that to a minimum
Good
so that
for
I
you,
can
babe.
kind of maintain. But I have gained a bit of weight during quarantine, and I'm not shy about that.
Yeah, so like whatever body you have, like I completely believe in body positivity, but like look out for your health
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
And I feel like there's a certain body that we feel like the most comfortable and confident in, and that should be the body that you are bringing to the dating world.
Basically, when you have that positivity, when you have that confidence, it kind of glows. You
Yeah.
kind of glow. Yeah, you have this like shine to you.
Yeah, and like it'll reflect in your approach to things. Are you feeling good about yourself? Also, you're not gonna be like compensating in other ways. I'm not gonna delve into that. That's for another episode. Okay, one last one. You want to end? One last tip?
I would say as much as possible, because you're in quarantine, just really try to cherish the quality time you have with your family and friends, of course. But I mean, you're usually stuck at home with your family, and just cherish and try to learn from them. Learn from your family, like how did they do it in dating, right? What were their stories? What were their success? And, just cherish those moments you have, because in the end of the day, family is very important. And take the time to catch up with friends. Take the time to catch up with people you probably didn't get to talk to for a very long time. I think that you have a lot of time in your hands now. I know a lot of people work from home, but you do have a lot more time in your hands. And I think that you could use this opportunity to really build good friendships and a good relationship with your family. And as a result, that'll bring you to you'll have a better environment for dating. Because if you just jump into dating and you're just lonely and your family situation, your relationship with your family is messed up, your friends are just not super there for you, then you're not getting into dating with a positive mindset.
Yeah.
So build those core values with your family. If you're having problems with them, fix those problems. If you're having problems with friends, fix those problems with friends, because they will be your rock when you start to get into dating. Because, guys, dating is a complicated thing. It sounds simple when we talk about it, but in general, you're getting into somebody's world. You're trying to join two worlds together, and you want your world to be a safe space for you and for the person that you're going to bring in. So as much as possible, fix that world you live in, and I think it's going to be the most important thing before you get into dating.
Well said, babe. I'm so proud of you. Anyway, remember that meeting someone is kind of just like one thing. Like it's a single point in time. It's not even the end game. It's kind of like the beginning of everything. And focus on the lifestyle, the mindset to lead you to that point rather than that single point itself.
Exactly. I'm gonna give an example before we end this. This example is my mom, actually. She told me about an experience where she had a very, very toxic relationship. Really, really, really bad relationship. And she was at this age that she was like so done with dating for a while. And what happened was she just took a break. And she had never been that single for so long. So she took about maybe more than a year just not dating anyone, not even seeing anyone, not even casual dating, just hyper focused on herself, fixing her relationship with her friends, fixing her relationship with her family, her parents. And she got a good job. She kind of just shut up, you know, she was just so positive and she was in such a good place. And then she just happened to meet my dad.
Aye.
And then she was in that good place, you know, and then my dad was in that good place, and they just met each other at the perfect moment.
Aw.
So, you know, like for me, the right person will come along, not when you're looking, but when you're in that right spot. And, you know, like I'm not going to say that that's always the case. Sometimes you meet the right person when you're in a bad place and that person lifts you up. And in my opinion, that's what happened with me and Danny. Like I wasn't in the best place. I was fresh off a breakup, but Danny was there for me and she just lifted me up, and I'm like the happiest guy now because of that. Because of her.
Babe, you turn every episode into like a very mushy one.
I'm sorry. But if you're in a good place, it's more beneficial. And I think like if you really, really find that good place, you're gonna find the right person too. So
Well said,
as much as
babe.
possible, focus on yourself.
What he said. Yeah, I think that's it for this episode. We've been talking for like an hour already. This has been Love and Confetti. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, any suggestions, comment down below, send us a message. We read everything. And yeah, we will see you in the next episode.
Thanks for sticking around, guys.
This has been Love and Confetti. I'm Danny.
I'm Ariane, and don't forget to subscribe, guys. See you. Bye.
Bye, guys.